You sent a distress signal to humans. Ambassador Zacatal's voice cracked with what could only be described as Thelian equivalent of hysterical laughter. All 6 of his breathing apertures fluttered in disbelief. Why not just invite the Void Eatators for dinner and be done with it? Captain R. Nixos of the Galactic Confederation vessel. Harmonious Accord maintained her composure. Barely, with all due respect, Ambassador, we had limited options. The Vu Armada has blockaded this entire system. The nearest Confederation fleet is 3 weeks away at best speed. The humans are just beyond the Orion Arm. They could be here in days, if they come at all, chirped Science Officer Trellick, his tentacles twisting nervously around his data pad. They've been remarkably reclusive since the Lipic incident. The Lipic incident. Even after 15 standard years, nobody mentioned it without lowering their voice. The first and last time anyone had attempted to pacify Earth, well, they've responded. Communications Officer Vin announced, her crystalline form glittering with tension. Message reads, SOS received, coordinates confirmed, hold position, the cavalry is coming. Whatever that means. Sectal's exoskeleton pad to a sickly yellow. It means we're all going to die. It thought that was already the plan, muttered. Lieutenant Commander Alex Mitchell from his tactical station, allies in the command center, swived toward the human. He was the only one of his kind aboard a military liaison assigned to the Harmonious Accord as part of the tenuous diplomatic relations between Earth and the Confederation. Most species found humans unsettling with their endoskeletal structure bizarre. Temperature tolerance and disconcerting tendency to smile when anxious or angry, Mitchell had been tolerated as a necessary political accommodation. Now he might be their only hope of understanding what was coming. Lieutenant Commander Captain Nixos said carefully, perhaps you could illuminate us on what your people mean by cavalry. Mitchell leaned back in his reinforced chair. Standard seats couldn't handle human weight density, and scratched his beard. His lips quirked in that expression that always made Trellick nervous. It means, Captain, that my people aren't sending aid workers. His smile widened, showing those disturbing bone-white teeth. They're sending soldiers. Admiral Huang Wai of the Earth Defense Force stared at the holographic tactical display, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of projected star systems. Let me get this straight, he said to the assembled officers of Battle Group Thermopylae. The Confederation vessel, Harmonious Accord, a diplomatic ship that's been ghosting our borders for months, suddenly breaks radio silence to tell us the VR have them cornered, and what they expect us to charge to Therskew. Yes, sir, replied Commander Daniels, intelligence officer for the battle group. They're trapped in the Proxima Centauri system with a Confederation ambassador aboard the Vrul fleet. Outnumbers them 20-1. And Wai Hang continued pacing the length of the tactical table. Should we care about the Confederation's problems? These are the same people who tried to quarantine Earth 15 years ago. The same people who still treat us like we're raid animals. A voice spoke from the doorway because they asked for help. Admiral Huang turned to see Captain Marcus Rivera entering the command center, tall, dark-skinned, and bearing the scars of the Lipic defense across his left cheek. Rivera was one of the few surviving officers from that fateful day. Marcus Huang acknowledged with a nod. I assume you have an opinion on this matter. I do, Sir. Rivera stepped up to the tactical display. The Vu have been expanding aggressively for the past decade. The Confederation has been too fractured to mount an effective defense. If Proxima Centauri falls, the Vu will have a clear path to Sol within 2 years, so it's self-interest. Then Huang raised an eyebrow. Partially, Rivera admitted, but there's another consideration. The Harmonious Accord has Lieutenant Commander Mitchell aboard. A murmur ran through the assembled officers, one of their own trapped behind enemy lines, and Rivera continued. This is exactly the opportunity we've been waiting for. Huang's eyes narrowed. Explain the Confederation thinks we're dangerous because they've never seen us fight a real enemy. They've only seen us fight them. Rivera manipulated the display, pulling up schematics of the VU warships. This is our chance to show them what humanity can really do and make it clear that we're better as allies than enemies. Admiral Hang considered this for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he turned to his EXO commander HFY. Prepare Battle Group Thermopylae. For immediate departure, full combat. Loadout. He glanced back at Rivera. Captain, I'm assigning you as mission commander for this operation. Rivera straightened. Sir, you survived Leipzig. You understand both the Confederation and what's at stake here. Hang's voice hardened. Bring our people home, Marcus, and make sure the galaxy understands exactly what it means when humans decide to join a fight. Rivera saluted. With pleasure, sir. They're coming closer. Officer. Vin's voice wavered as she monitored the Varu fleet movements. Estimate 9 hours until they're within weapons range. Captain Nixos massaged her cranial ridges. Status of our shields holding at 47%, replied. Engineering Chief Growlick. The last barrage did more damage than expected. One more concentrated. Assault. And we'll be defenseless. The command center of the Harmonious Accord was unnervingly quiet. They'd been playing this deadly game of cat and mouse for 3 days, hiding in the shadow of Proxima Centauri's 4th planet using its magnetic field to mask their energy signature. But the VU were methodical hunters, and they were running out of places to hide. Ambassador Zaktal had finally stopped his fatalistic pronouncements, settling into a resigned silence. Most of the crew were similarly subdued, going about their duties, with the quiet efficiency of those who see no way out but refuse to abandon their posts. Only Mitchell seemed oddly energized. He'd spent hours at his tactical station running simulations and calculations that he didn't share with the rest of the crew. Occasionally, he would check the ship's chronometer and mutter something under his breath that sounded suspiciously like, "Come on, Lieutenant Commander Captain Nixaw said finally. Your unusual optimism is beginning to disturb the crew if you know something we don't. Captain Vine interrupted, her crystalline structure suddenly flashing with alarm patterns. Multiple hyperspace. Signatures detected. Massive energy readings at the edge of the system. Trellick rushed to his science station, confirmed. At least 30 vessels emerging from hyperspace. Configuration unknown. Nixos felt her heart sink. For reinforcements, no, Mitchell said, checking his own readouts with a predatory grin. Humans. The main view screen activated, showing the outer system. Tears in the fabric of reality appeared like jagged wounds against the black of space. From these dimensional ruptures emerged ships unlike anything the Confederation had ever built. Where Confederation vessels were elegant, these were functional. Where VU ships were biological in appearance, these were unmistakably machines of war, angular, bristling with weapons, and painted in matte black. With minimal running lights, they emerged in tight formation, a blade aimed at the heart of the VR blockade. By the cosmic harmony, breathed Ambassador Zaktal. How many warships does Earth possess? Mitchell chuckled. More than you'd be comfortable knowing. About Ambassador A, communication request flashed on Vin's console. Captain Weir, being hailed by the human flagship. Nick straightened her uniform. On screen, the view screen shifted to show a human command center utilitarian compared to the Harmonious Accord's bridge illuminated by red combat lighting. In the center stood a dark-skinned human male in what Mitchell had once explained was an EDF dress uniform, though it looked remarkably combat-ready to Nixos's eyes. This is Captain Marcus Rivera of the Earth Defense Force vessel Thermopylae, the human announced. We received your distress call, Harmonious Accord. Apologies for the delay. We had to gather some friends for the party. Captain Rivera Nixos responded, relief flooding her voice. Your arrival is most timely. We are Alex Rivera interrupted, catching sight of Mitchell. Good to see you're still breathing. Mitchell grinned. Never doubted you'd show up, sir. Though you took your sweet time, had to convince the brass this wasn't a trap. Rivera's expression Turned serious, Captain Nixos. We need you to transmit your shield frequencies and power signatures immediately. We're launching our attack run in 3 minutes, and I don't want any friendly fire incidents. Nixos blinked, taken back by the human's directness. Your attack run, Captain Rivera. The VR fleet outnumbers your ships more than 2 to 1. Rivera's smile reminded her uncomfortably of Mitchell's. Then it's almost a fair fight, isn't it? He turned to someone off-screen, Commander Ishiawa. Deploy the wolf packs. Have the carrier groups maintain position at the system edge for now. Zeitel stepped forward, unable to contain himself. Captain Rivera, surely, you don't intend to engage the entire Vul Armada directly. The Confederation's tactical analysis suggests, with all due respect, Ambassador Rivera cut him off. We didn't come all this way to hide. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell will brief you on our tactical approach. Thermopylae out. The screen returned to the view of the human fleet, which was already breaking into smaller, highly mobile battle groups. All eyes turned to Mitchell, who was already pulling up tactical displays. Right, he said, cracking his knuckles in that disturbing way that made Trell's tentacles curl. Let me explain how humans fight. The VR commander Draith hadn't survived 3 centuries of warfare by being easily surprised. When his scouts reported the arrival of unidentified vessels, he had reacted with appropriate caution, diverting a quarter of his fleet to intercept while maintaining the blockade around the cowering Confederation ship. When his sensor technicians identified the newcomers as human vessels, he had felt a momentary concern. Humans were classified as a Class 12 deathworld species, physically resilient and unpredictable. But they were also isolationists, having retreated behind their borders after the Lepic debacle. That they would venture forth for a single Confederation ship seemed unlikely when the first wave of human attackers annihilated his screening force. In less than 15 minutes, Durkith realized he had made a catastrophic error. How he demanded his chitinous mandibles clicking in agitation as he reviewed the battle footage. How did they penetrate our shield so quickly? His tactical officer visibly shaken manipulated. The holographic display. The humans are using some kind of modulating energy. Weapons commander. They cycle through frequencies faster than our adaptive shields can compensate. And they're kinetic weapons. They're firing projectiles at relativistic velocities. Our shields are designed to deflect energy, not mass at that speed. Durkith absorbed this information with growing unease. The VR had conquered 17 systems in the past decade, encountering minimal effective resistance. The Confederation's disparate species could never coordinate properly, each bringing their own incompatible technologies and tactics to battles resulting in predictable defeats. These humans, however, moved with unsettling synchronization. Their smaller ships darted between, his formations striking with precision before withdrawing, drawing his forces out of position. Their electronic warfare was scrambling his communication networks, forcing his ships to operate independently rather than as the coordinated hive mind. The VR preferred status of the primary target he demanded. The Confederation vessel remains in the planet's shadow. Commander. But the tactical officer hesitated. Speak. The humans appear to be clearing a path to it. They're systematically eliminating our containment grid. Drakith's compound eyes narrowed. If the humans extracted the Harmonious Accord and its passengers, particularly that meddlesome Ambassador Zeal, it would represent a significant intelligence failure. The Confederation might be dying, but it still had resources. The VR coveted information was power. Commit the reserve fleet. He ordered. All ships overwhelmed them with numbers. His executive officer chittered nervously. Commander, our reserves are meant to protect our supply lines. If we commit everything, the supply lines are irrelevant if we allow a Class 12 species to demonstrate that the rule can be defeated. Daraith snapped, "Execute my orders." As his remaining ships moved to engage, Durith couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had changed in the galactic balance of power. The humans weren't fighting like cornered prey or even like typical predators. They were fighting like they were enjoying it. "They've taken the bait," Rivera announced, watching the Vrule fleet. Formations shift on the tactical display. They're committing their reserves. Commander HFY nodded. "Just as you predicted, sir, their commander couldn't resist trying to overwhelm us with numbers." Around them, the bridge of the Thermopylae hummed with controlled activity. Damage reports flowed in. 3 destroyers heavily damaged, 1 corvette lost with all hands, but the human fleet had inflicted disproportionate casualties on the VR forces. Signal Admiral Changeng Rivera ordered, "Execute Phase 2. At the system's edge, where the human reinforcements had been holding position, a new movement began. What the Vuel had assumed were simply troop carriers or support vessels now revealed their true purpose. Massive hangar doors slid open, disgorging swarms of smaller craft, hundreds of them each barely large enough for a 2-person crew. "Strike fighters away," reported the communications officer. "Wolfpacks report all target packages received." Rivera nodded grimly. "Let's see how the VR handled being hunted." On the Harmonious Accord, the crew watched in stunned silence as the space around them transformed into chaos. The main view screen struggled to track the frenzied combat, finally settling on a tactical overview that reduced the ships to colored. Icons blue for human, red for VUL. The red icons were disappearing ATAN. "Alarming rate I don't understand." Trellick said, his scientist's mind struggling to process what he was seeing. "The VR have superior numbers and technology. How are the humans inflicting such damage?" Mitchell, who had been calmly monitoring the battle from his station, looked up superior technology, by whose standards the Confederation's of course. Trellick replied somewhat indignantly, "The Vuel have been adapting and incorporating the best technologies from every world they conquer." "That's your first misconception," Mitchell said. "The Confederation and the Vuel both believe in technological superiority, finding the best solution and applying it universally." He gestured to the battle display. "Humans don't think that way. We believe in technological appropriateness." He pointed to a cluster of small, fast-moving blue icons swarming a larger red one. "Those fighters are using technology that would be considered primitive by Confederation standards. Chemical propellants, physical projectiles, but they're perfect for getting under the VR's energy shields. We don't look for the most advanced solution, we look for the right solution." Captain Nixos watched a VUL dreadnoughts split apart under concentrated fire from what appeared to be missiles technology the Confederation had abandoned centuries ago in favor of energy weapons and your coordination, she said quietly. "The rule fight as a hive mind. Yet you're countering their every move." Mitchell's expression turned serious. "That's the second misconception. The Confederation believes that the ideal military operates like a perfect machine, each component following exact protocols. The VU believe in the superiority of their hive mind approach." He tapped his temple. "Humans believe in what we call commander intent. Our officers know the objective and are trusted to adapt to changing circumstances without waiting for orders." Ambassador Zach Tal, who had been unusually quiet, finally spoke. "You're telling us that your apparent chaos is intentional?" "It's not chaos, Ambassador. It's initiative." Mitchell's eyes never left the tactical display. "Every human out. There understands the mission. Extract. The Harmonious Accord. And bloody the rules knows. How they accomplish that is up to them." A new alert sounded from Vin's console. "Captain, 3 human vessels are approaching our position. They're requesting docking clearance." Mitchell nodded. "That'll be the extraction team. I suggest you grant them access." Immediately, Nixos hesitated for only a moment before giving the order. As much as the human's confidence unnerved her, she couldn't deny the evidence before her eyes. The Earth vessels were systematically dismantling a rule fleet that should have crushed them. Within minutes, the command center doors slide open to admit 3 humans in combat armor, sleek, functional suits that made them look even more imposing than usual. Their leader removed his helmet to reveal a rugged face with a shock of red hair. "Commander Byrne, EDF, Special Operations," he announced without preamble. "We're here to escort you to safety." Nixo stepped forward. "My crew all being evacuated as we speak." Byrne assured her, "We have transports docked at every available airlock, but we need to move now. This position won't stay secure for long." Mitchell was already on his feet. "What's the extraction plan?" "Commander, the Thermopylae is opening a corridor. We'll rendezvous with the Normandy at the edge of the gravity. We'll then jump to safety while the battle group covers our retreat." Ambassador Zakatel's breathing apertures fluttered anxiously. "You intend to withdraw, but the VR don't worry, Ambassador," Burns said with a predatory smile. "We're not leaving until we've made our point very clear." Drath watched his carefully constructed blockade disintegrate under the human assault with a mixture of rage and disbelief. These weren't the actions of a species fighting for survival or even for victory. This was something else, something that felt disturbingly like punishment. "The Confederation vessel is moving," reported his tactical officer. "Escorted by human warships, they're making for the system edge. Intercept them." Dricht ordered all available ships. "Commander." His executive officer's voice had taken on a strange tone. New contacts detected massive energy signatures. The tactical display, updated to show 5 enormous vessels emerging from hyperspace at the system's edge, dwarfing even the largest ships in either fleet. Their design was unmistakably human, but on a scale that defied comprehension. "What are those?" Drakith demanded. His science officer's response came in a whisper. "Planet killers, dreadnoughts Everest. Olympus, Kilimanjaro, Fuji, and Akanagwa have arrived," announced the communications officer on the Thermopylae bridge. "They're assuming bombardment positions." Rivera nodded. "Right on schedule. Status of the evacuation. Harmonious Accord is fully evacuated, all personnel accounted for and distributed. Among our medical and transport vessels, the ship itself has been scuttled to prevent capture and the VR response." Commander Ishiawa studied the tactical display. "Confusion, sir. Their formations are breaking down. Several of their outer pickets have already jumped to hyperspace. They're running river. Observed with satisfaction. Have the dreadnoughts begin their firing sequence. Let's make sure the VR remember this day. From the observation deck of the transport vessel carrying them to safety. Captain." Nixos Ambassador Zakatel and the senior staff of the Harmonious Accord watched in silence as the human dreadnoughts moved into position around Proxima Centauri's outermost planet, an uninhabited gas giant. Mitchell stood with them, his normally animated features solemn. "What are they doing?" Trellick finally asked. "Sending a message," Mitchell replied. The 5 massive vessels, positioned equidistantly around the planet, extended what appeared to be enormous cannon-like structures from their hulls. Energy began to gather at the muzzles. Not the familiar blue-white of Confederation, weapons, or the sickly green of VR technology, but a deep, ominous red. "You should shield your eyes," Mitchell advised. A heartbeat later, 5 lances of crimson energy struck the gas giant simultaneously. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the planet's atmosphere began to glow, swirling patterns of fire spreading across its surface as thermonuclear reactions cascaded through its gaseous layers. The planet didn't explode. Note exactly. Instead, it burned, becoming a miniature sun that bathed the entire system in bloody light. Ambassador Zdal sank to his knees, all 6 breathing apertures fully dilated in shock. You ignited a planet just to make a point." Mitchell's voice was quiet. "The Vula understand only strength, Ambassador. Now they understand that humans possess the strength to turn worlds into stars." Captain Nixos turned to the humans, seeing him in an entirely new light. "Your people came all this way, risked so much for us, for a confederation that has shown you nothing but suspicion and fear. Not entirely for you," Mitchell admitted. "The Vuel were always going to be our problem eventually. Better to face them here on our terms than wait for them to reach Earth. Still, Nixos persisted. You saved us when you could have let us perish. Mitchell considered this for a moment. Humans have a saying, Captain, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Confederation may not trust us, may even fear us, but at least you've never tried to conquer us. The rule would give no such consideration, and now, Ambassador Zakatal asked, finally recovering his composure, what will Earth ask in return for this intervention? Mitchell smiled. Not the predatory expression from earlier, but something more genuine. That's not how we operate, Ambassador, we didn't. Come here to extract payment. We came because someone asked for help and because it was the right thing to do. He turned back to the viewport where the remnants of the Vrul fleet were scattering in disarray pursued by human warships that showed no sign of breaking off the attack. But if the Confederation is interested in discussing a more formal alliance against the Vrul, he added, I suspect my government would be receptive. After all, we've just demonstrated that we make much better friends than enemies. 3 weeks later, Marcus Rivera stood at attention in Admiral Hang's office aboard the EDF headquarters station in Earth orbit. The formal debriefing had concluded, reports had been filed, and commendations issued. Now only the two of them remained. AT's Captain Hang said, pouring 2 glasses of amber liquid from a crystal decanter. This isn't an official conversation anymore. Rivera relaxed his posture and accepted the offered drink. Thank you, sir, to the fallen Huang said, raising his glass in toast. The fallen Rivera echoed solemnly. They drank in silence for a moment, honoring the 17 human lives lost during the Battle of Proxima. Century Asit was now being called. The diplomatic corps is ecstatic. Hang finally said, Ambassador Zattel has apparently become humanity's biggest advocate in the Confederation Assembly. They're fast-tracking a mutual defense treaty. Fear is a powerful motivator, Rivera observed. Indeed. Huang sat down his glass. Tell me something Marcus off the record did. We do the right thing. Rivera considered the question carefully. The VR were always going to be a threat, sir. Sooner or later we would have had to fight them. At least this way we chose the battlefield. That's the strategic assessment. Hang acknowledged. I'm asking for your gut feeling. My gut, Rivera laughed without humor. My gut says we just showed the entire galaxy that humans are exactly what they already feared. We were incredibly dangerous. And yet, paradoxically, we've also gained allies for now. Rivera traced the scar on his cheek, his permanent reminder of the Lepic incident. The Confederation fears the Vrul more than they fear us at the moment. That calculus could change. Hang nodded, understanding the unspoken concern, which is why we continue to build our fleets and reinforce our borders, even as we extend the hand of friendship trust, but verify. Rivera quoted with a slight smile. Annunciant, but relevant wisdom. Huang refilled their glasses. The president has approved the expansion of the AI Dreadnought program. 5 more KS will be laid by year's end. Rivera raised an eyebrow. Expecting trouble, planning for contingencies, Huang corrected. The galaxy now knows what humanity is capable of. Some will seek alliance as the Confederation has others. Might see us as a threat to be eliminated before we grow stronger. He sipped his drink, which brings me to your next assignment. Sir Hang activated his desk display, bringing up an image of a sleek vessel, unlike any in the current EDF fleet. More elegant than their utilitarian warships with lines that suggested both speed and power. This is the Prometheus. Hang explained, the first of our new diplomatic cruisers. Officially, she's a gesture of goodwill, a vessel designed to facilitate cultural exchange and scientific cooperation with the Confederation and other potential allies, and unofficially, Rivera. Asked, already suspecting the answer. Unofficially, she's our eyes and ears beyond our borders, a reminder of human capabilities wrapped in a diplomatic package. Huang fixed Rivera with an evaluating gaze. She needs a captain who understands both diplomacy and combat someone who's seen the worst the galaxy has to offer, but still believes in the possibility of peace. Rivera studied the ship's schematics, noting the weapon systems cleverly integrated into her design. Formidable, but not overtly threatening. "When do I leave?" he asked, simply. Hang smiled. "As soon as she's commissioned 3 months from now. Your first mission will be a goodwill tour of Confederation worlds with Ambassador Mitchell accompanying you." Mitchell Rivera's surprise was evident. Alex is becoming an ambassador. His unique perspective proved quite valuable during the recent crisis. The diplomatic corps practically begged for his assignment. Huang's expression turned serious. "The galaxy is changing. Marcus the VR have been bloodied, but not defeated. The Confederation is finally beginning to recognize the need for unity and humanity." He gestured to the viewport, where Earth shone blue and peaceful below them. Humanity can no longer hide behind its borders, pretending the rest of the universe doesn't exist. Rivera nodded slowly, understanding the weight of what was being asked of him. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship, it was a statement that humans were stepping onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors or isolationists, but as partners. Dangerous partners, perhaps, but partners nonetheless. "I'll need to select my crew," he said. "You'll have your pick of volunteers," Huang assured him. "After Proxima Centauri, half the fleet wants to serve under you." Rivera finished his drink and stood. "Then I'd better not disappoint them." As he turned to leave, Huang called after him. "Marcus, one more thing, sir. When the Vu attacked the Lipic colony 15 years ago, you lost your family." Hang's voice was gentle, but firm. "Don't let that define humanity's place in the galaxy. We can be more than our capacity for vengeance." Rivera touched the scar on his cheek, a reminder not just of loss, but of survival. "With respect, Admiral, vengeance isn't what drives me." He looked back at the image of the Prometheus, sleek and full of promise. "What happened at Lipish taught me that the galaxy is full of dangers. What happened at Proxima Centauri taught me that it's also full of possibilities." He straightened once again, the composed officer rather than the man. "Haunted by old wounds, humanity isn't entering the galactic community seeking enemies or retribution. We're simply making it clear that when we offer friendship, it comes with the full weight of our protection." Admiral Hang nodded, satisfied. "Safe travels. Captain, make us proud out there. Count on it, sir." Rivera saluted crisply and departed, already mentally assembling his crew and planning their journey into a universe that would never again underestimate the deathworlders of Earth. In the vast chamber of the Confederation Assembly, Ambassador Zaktal stood before representatives of 200 species, his testimony on the Battle of Proxima Centauri drawing to a close. "So you see," he concluded, "we have fundamentally misunderstood humans from the beginning. We classified them as dangerous because they evolved on a world that would kill most of us within hours. We feared them because they possess physical capabilities and aggressive tendencies beyond our comprehension." He paused, his